Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here and we're going to have ourselves a little bit of some fun because this is our end of year spectacular. That's right, we are only a few days left in 2023, which means 2024 is on its way. So, as we traditionally do here at Roulette Productions, I'm going to take a look back at some of the stuff I've done this year, both on this show, Friday Ramblings, as well as the Bardic Plays game stream. Think of it as a recommendation of the best of 2023. Fun times. Now, of course, we can't talk about awesome in 2023 without the Let's Plays, the video games I do every week, your hour-esque, sometimes 90, sometimes, a few extra minutes in between, but your hour of video game power, where I play my classic games and just plain have some fun. Now, this past year we did have some interesting things. We went through the N64 game Rampage World Tour, as well as its direct sequel, Rampage Universal Tour. And of course, these games are modernized, kind of reboot, sequel, update things. It's a very loose franchise to the 80s arcade classic Rampage, which had a port on the NES that I primarily know it from. Both of these are really fun games to play. They were we took a few episodes on each of them, and the basics of it is, look, they were some of the most laid-back videos I did. The Rampage games are not complicated. They can be difficult if you slack off too much, but they are chill games. They are about as zen as you can get while still playing a game that does involve some possibility of getting a game over and dying. Obviously you could do your little simulation games where it's casual type stuff, but Rampage is not that high a step above those. And that is a good thing because you come in off the holidays, you're kind of in a downer, you need some chill. Now, it should also be noted, even though we started it in 2022, towards the end, we did see a good chunk of 2023 was spent on the back half of Pokemon Blue. Yep, Gen 1 in all its original Game Boy goodness. And I'm not even kidding when I say back half. The entire series took, actually a little more than half. Took like 18 parts to do, and we did 10 of them in 2023. So we got to finish that run, which is definitely something I encourage you doing, especially if you have played the more recent Pokemon games. Gen 1 did get a remake on Game Boy Advance. Some of my younger gamer viewers might have played that version. And I do talk about, because I do own the Leaf Green remake, the difference between, some of the things they changed with the remake. And while I do prefer the remake, I started Pokemon in Gen 1 in its original format. So that's what I wanted to play. I wanted as pure a nostalgic experience as possible. So for those of you who've never played the official original Gen 1s, as opposed to the Gen 1 remakes, go for it. Check out the Let's Play. A lot of good times. We played the TurboGrafx 316 favorites Bravo Man and Wonder Momo. These are essentially like beat 'em up. Well, Bravo Man's more of a platformer. Wonder Momo is kind of a beat 'em up game. Simple on the surface, but very quirky, very original in its characterization, and difficult. We could not beat either one of the games. Good times, and it is a challenge I will gladly throw at any of my fellow video game streamers out there. How long will it take you, and how many lives will it take you to beat Bravo Man and or Wonder Momo? We had some fun with the Battletoads. Played a couple different games in the franchise because every game in the franchise is freaking hard. There's a reason I call that a game, which was a one-off episode, Battletoads Beat Me Up. It's not a misspelling of beat 'em ups. Those games will wreck you if you are not a high-level gamer. We had some fun with the classic DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi 3, along with Saturday Night Slam Masters, the Capcom wrestling game that is linked to Final Fight, and through that, the Street Fighter franchise. Definitely check out Saturday Night Slam Masters if you have never played it. The big one, though, was celebrating our 200th episode. Yes, folks, we got to 200 stream episodes this year, and we dug back into the classics with, kind of like Pokemon, the original take on Dragon Quest IV, the NES version. We did not play through the whole game. I may go back and do it again later. I do own the 3DS remake, and I do adore the remake. But the original NES version was that was the version I played multiple times years ago when I was a young Dragon Quest fan. For those of you who may not remember and have not gone through my archives completely, for episode 100 I did the more modern Dragon Quest Heroes spin-off. And instead of playing some more of that, I thought for 200 we would go completely retro but keep that Dragon Quest theming with a trip through 4. We went through the first couple chapters of Dragon Quest 4. We spent 3 sessions on it because it takes longer than I had remembered, even though I basically know how to run through that, to go through there due to the fact that Dragon Quest games do occasionally take a little bit of level grinding, and especially those original NES versions were slower paced RPGs. These are not games that you just pick up and plow through, especially if you haven't played that version a good long while like I had. I had been sticking to the remakes, and as such you have to adjust slightly because of those changes made. Still wonderful. We went through Shantae and the Half Genie Hero. I'm a big fan of Shantae. I've played all the previous games in the series. I never beaten one, but I've beaten all the others. This is my first playthrough of Halftime Hero, and it is a joy. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. If you want to understand why I will always be a lifelong gamer, then I highly recommend the Shantae series, because it is impossible to play games like that without feeling the pure joy of game. I mean, when games like Shantae games are made and I get a chance to play them, and I mean, yes, that's a recent series. I did play it because they are 2D platformers, so they have a nostalgic feel to them, which is kind of what I was saying. When you get a great game that's got a lot of fun to it, like Shantae, I mean, the energy is just felt, and it's so cathartic. I mean, it's nice. It feels good to play games like that. And there's a lot of retro games I've done that give me, they give me the same feeling. Some of them I played a challenge, some I played because I never got around to playing them. But, the old Marios are a part of that. We played our first Mario fan hack, the Bowsette edition, which is a light hack. You get a different plot, which mostly just affects the opening crawl and the final boss fight. And you get some modified fights against the Koopalings. So people that have obsessively played Super Mario World, it's a fun hack to add just a little bit of variety in the boss fights to it without going too heavy into the overhauling. Great intro game for people that don't play a lot of it. We got into the excuse me. Lost my train of thought here, folks. We got through some classic arcade Marvel licensed games. Was playing both the Spider-Man arcade game, Spider-Man in the background, because he's my boy, and the iconic X-Men arcade game. Fun times. These are quick and easy games to blast through, as many, assuming you have, as we do, thanks to, emulation of arcade cabinets, infinite quarters, and infinite lives. Because, of course, classic coin-op arcade games, it was assumed you didn't have a ton of money to dump into them, and as such, while the difficulty level is there, it's a difficulty level where, as long as you are pumping in quarters, especially virtual quarters, removing the cash spent part of the equation, and just having functionally infinite lives, you can get through the games in an hour or less. We wrapped it all up with a return to our old friend Ghostbusters. This was actually a pre-recorded one I had done. 2 parts, collecting the last of the artifacts that are the main collectible of the series. When I played through the original game the year before, I was just to beat the game. The artifact hunt was kind of not a full-blown completionist mark, but something I wanted to do for the fun of it. There are other achievements in the game I haven't hit, but that is your primary collectible. Secondary collectible being the enemy scans, which I've not 100%ed. I think I'm like 90% of those. But the artifact hunt is fun because you get to go around the levels, see some cool stuff, see it show up in the firehouse. Fun times. But yeah, I had pre-recorded that when I had some time off and, uploaded it later. It's good. One of the rare times that I did pre-record games. I did the recording live, so there's still no editing or anything. But it technically was, to be official on the record. It was a pre-recorded thing where instead of uploading it a day or, which is where, okay, I'm gonna have to go on the schedule because I'm saying this weird. I'm saying this awkwardly. I do my game streaming live. And then a couple days later I will put it up on YouTube. And that is as kind of the YouTube debut of it. But in the case of those two artifact completion videos, I recorded those months in advance because I had some time off. I had a little more time from the life that and I knew I wanted to do those videos, so I went ahead and did them when I had the extra couple hours to devote to them. As I said, it's a total of 3.5 hours. Yeah, almost 3.5. It's like 3 and 27 minutes. Basically 3.5. Which is a thing. You know, I don't normally have that much time in a single day to record game footage. So it's all good. And after that, of course, we go into our... we finished up the year with our Diablo Hellfire run, which was good times. We just finished that up just a couple weeks before this video is going live. I've said this before, I do tend to record the ramblings a couple weeks out in advance, sometimes, 4 to 5 weeks out in advance, depending on my schedule, which we're going to talk about at the end of the video. But yeah, as of when I'm recording this, I just finished the Hellfire run, and it was good. I'd been wanting to do this game for a while. Finally got everything lined up with making the recording equipment behave with the game, because it's a very old game. And I had to make some adjustments to system settings. But it was worth it. Loved playing through the game again. Hadn't played through it in a few years. And you play Diablo 1 and you will understand why it became a worldwide phenomenon. It is a very well done game. And yes, for people who haven't watched the stream, I do a warrior run. That is the class I play when I do Diablo 1. Always have. It's the one I prefer for gaming. So with that, we're going to flip over to the rambling side. Speaking of video games, we discussed Chrono Trigger, one of the greatest RPGs ever made, and its sequel, Chrono Cross, another solid one. Which is good. We discussed the history of Kirby, Nintendo's little pink buddy. One of my favorite mangas, Love Hina. On DC Comics side, we tackled the convoluted history of Hawkman and Hawkgirl, or sometimes Hawkwoman. And trust me, when I do say convoluted, this is even by comic book standards. They got crazy for a while. So definitely watch that video if you only know more recent comic book history and want to understand why there was a period of time where DC did not do anything with the Hawks because they had no clue what to do with them. They had just done so much craziness. On something that was a little bit of a personal note, we discussed the Raimi Feist book Fairy Tale. We've discussed in previous years his core Midkemia series, how important that is to me as a fan of the fantasy genre, how much it has influenced me in my writing and other fantasy series I tend to read. Basically, I measure every fantasy series against the Feist books. They are my go-to standard. I've done a video discussing those, as I said, in previous years, but Fairy Tale was a one-off of his that delves into Celtic mythology. I'm not going to say too much more because, as I said, I did a whole video on that. And it's a great video. I feel like I was able to give the book fair review and justice without saying so much about the plot you would feel like you don't need to read it anymore. We tackled the Disney Afternoon cartoon block, discussing the history of the block as a whole and then breaking down the various iconic shows that made it up. A good series. We discussed Nolan Bushnell, a man who not only helped bring us video game history, but restaurant/live entertainment history, as he was one of the men behind Chuck E. Cheese, which, if you don't know Chuck E. Cheese, ask your parents. Why are you youngins watching such a channel full of nostalgia anyway? It's okay, I love all my viewers. But please don't say too loudly you have no idea what Chuck E. Cheese is. That sets off my old people hurt. You know, I've got the old man heart. I can't take too much reminding me it's an old man heart. Speaking of that, we did have to say goodbye to comic book legend George Perez this year. And I did a tribute video on that. Along with Yu-Gi-Oh! Creator and manga legend Kazuki Takahashi. That was one where, actually both of those were cases where I actually readjusted my pre-recording schedule to post those videos at a time where it was relatively close to the passing because they were ones that were important to me. George Perez had announced he had been dealing with cancer months out and was going to let it run its course. That was a decision he and his family had made. But when it happened, it still hit like a ton of bricks. He has written so much good material. Watch that video because I'm starting to get back in the feels there. Also, Kazuki Takahashi, wonderful man. Went personally and in his writing. Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, is a massive multimedia franchise now. He entertained so many people through that, and it's a series. I've read the manga, I've watched the anime, I've played some of the video games. So it was big to me when he passed very suddenly. Again, there's a full video on that. Look. Whew. Oh, wait. Oh my god, no. Okay, wow, I feel like oh my god, no, I'm sorry, I was looking at my 2022 list. Woo, okay, God. So this is what happens, I'm going through my list of videos, I saw those, and it just grabbed me, and it was like, oh, the feels all came back. I'm sorry, folks. We haven't even discussed 2023 videos yet. Woo, I was reviewing 2022, which I've already done before. This is what I get for making assumptions. Wow. Okay. Goofy on me. Okay, no. 2023. We did discuss the Disney Afternoon. We finished it up. We had a little bit happier notes here. We discussed a lot of wrestling history. We've discussed American titles. We've discussed some Japanese stuff. The IWGP Heavyweight Championship, as well as the J Crown Tournament. We discussed the DC team Young Justice and everything that it did that was awesome. We highlighted Nintendo with the Super Mario RPG game, which of course is now has a recently released remake. We discussed the Super Smash Bros. Franchise, Nintendo's answer to fighting games with a bit of party game. We discussed the Final Fight franchise. Remember earlier when I was talking about Saturday Night Slam Masters? Well, now we discussed Final Fight, that it was linked to. Everything. See, the two shows tie together sometimes, and they sync. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. We discussed the Dr. Dolittle novels and the various films they have inspired. Different films across different decades and different generations. Fascinating to see how, the different eras impacted the same story and presented it. One of the more fascinating series I did, I did a lot of stuff, but we discussed how different medias have handled both censorship with the original Hays Code and rating content so that they do not have to over-censor it. We discussed the MPAA movie ratings, we discussed television ratings, we discussed video games ESRB. All good stuff. We leaned back on our friends in Shark Week with reviews of Finding Nemo and the infamous Deep Blue Sea. Okay, now I gotta bum myself out again. I'm sorry. We did lose some people in 2023 that were very important to me. We lost singer-songwriter Jimmy Buffett, who, has been entertaining people for many decades. Man who, he wrote novels, he opened restaurants, he wrote, as I said, wrote countless songs. He was, his music was almost a subgenre in and of itself. The way Buffett took to performing with his backup band, the Coral Reefers, was just something nobody could truly imitate. And we gave him a full salute due to the fact that these two passings happened so tightly close together and that it was really hard for me to get through. I made the decision to put both together, and that is that the wrestling world lost icon Terry Funk and new rising legend Bray Wyatt. Again, if you want to see me get into the feels, watch both of those videos, or if you just need to, remember for yourself why you are a fan of these people and how much our entertainers can impact us. Again, it's something I'm gonna let those videos speak for themselves. We discussed the Smokey and the Bandit trilogy, or is it a trilogy? Yes, it gets a little weird when you get into car racing movies. We're not just talking about that old Fast and Furious here. Well, before that, there were car racing movies that had maybe a couple sequels too many. Halloween brought us some wonderful categories like the Hellraiser movies, Freddy Krueger getting TV shot in an odd but fun way. And we wrapped it up with a look at the year with some reviews of our favorite actors. Again, those videos are very new and just above us on the playlist. Nice little salute to Bill Murray, discussion of one of my favorite recent video games that has some nostalgic characters in them, Project Cross Zone 1 and 2, which is kind of a throwback to some of the earliest, one of the earliest videos I did for the Ramblings. probably the most important video I did, and this is going to bring us into the big discussion on what is looking ahead in 2024. And that is that along with my wife, who I did marry a couple months ago, we discussed our honeymoon at Disney World, and by proxy, the experience of going to Disney World. A few helpful hints, suggested attractions. So that was a very fun video. She had done a couple game narrations a few years back when we were just dating. But that was the first time she had appeared fully on camera, and it helped with a Friday Ramblings episode. As I said, we had only been married, we got married just a few months before. Wonderful time, wonderful wedding. Nothing but love to everybody who attended and helped us celebrate. But that's a big thing of what I'm going to say next. 2023 was a year of a lot of changes in my personal life. I don't go a lot in my personal life on these vlogs. The closest I've done before was when I took a brief sabbatical. I took like a month off from the videos, from the vlogs, because I was having a little bit of burnout. And, you know, I thought everything was going to be good then. That was a couple years ago. But, you know, in 2022, I did relocate in anticipation of the wedding. After the engagement, relocated so that there would be a happy married home for the soon-to-be wife. Which, again, if you watch back my archive videos, you notice the room I'm in has changed since, videos of yesteryear. Because we have been doing this for a while. As I said, over 200 episodes. Woohoo! And that is good times. And that was an adjustment that, kept carrying over into this year. Of course, planning the wedding and the honeymoon and the adjustments that married life brings. Along with the fact that, as I've joked about a lot of times, that this is not a monetized channel. This is not something I make income on as of right now, and as such, I do have a day job. There have been changes in that day job. Again, I'm not going to go into super detail on that. That gets into stuff we don't do on this channel. I know some people are used to hosts that just put everything out there 100%. That's not who I am. We Roulette Productions have always been about putting the entertainment first. Letting the entertainment, whether it's the vlogs or the game streams or my behind-the-scenes partner, he does post the occasional video. He does have some deep in the vault where he's reviewed some comic books and games himself. Streamed a couple, and we've talked about starting up a podcast again, which may come. He's got stuff going on in 2023 that he's still readjusting to. So what this comes down to is my mind hasn't been 100% on the vlogs, especially these last 4 or 5 months. The back half of 2023, there was a ton of stuff going on. There's still adjustments being made, still stresses in situations that are not ideal. And that has nothing to do directly with the marriage. I do love the wife. Very happy to have her. She's a blessing. But what it does mean is that the Friday Ramblings is not going to be on a weekly schedule anymore for the immediate future. I'm going to post at least one episode a month, and when I post them, they will still be on Friday, so the name Friday Ramblings will still be appropriate, but it's going to be more on a basis of when I can really 100% dig into the topic, when it's something that I'm doing because I really want to talk about that subject, not to fit a deadline. It's not that there's not still a ton of entertainment stuff to talk about. Obviously, new shows, comic books, movies, wrestling stuff, video game stuff is coming out all the time. It's a huge industry in many branches. I know I don't really talk about the music stuff. That's one of the things that made the Jimmy Buffett thing kind of stand out. Because honestly, I'm not a huge music person. Music is probably one of my weakest areas when it comes to entertainment, in that I have a playlist of stuff that I've done for years, and it's white noise and comfort music. I do not keep up with the current music scene at all. Outside of people you can't avoid if you're on the internet, like, well, I'm not going to name drop anybody because I don't want to seem like I'm attacking anybody when I say phrases like that. But outside of a handful of people that you can't really avoid knowing exist, I cannot name any current performers for you. I am 100% out of the music scene. That's why we don't really discuss it at the Ramblings. I would feel like way too much of a phony trying to talk about that stuff. But yeah, Friday Ramblings is going to be more sporadic. The game streams are still going to be every week because they are easier to do. I mean, I just basically pick a game and play it and talk during it. Occasionally commentary. I might go on random tangents depending on the game and how much brain thought it has. But those are easier to do, so I'm still going to do those every week. But the Ramblings, there's topics. I have to research. Have notes ready, and I still sometimes stumble and fumble because I'm not actively looking at my notes. And that's where we're at. They take a little more work, and right now for the next few months, maybe longer, I don't have the mental energy to do them to the level that you viewers deserve. This is not a highly produced show, but it is one where I try to give you 100%. Roulette Productions has what can be kind of, a hard to get idea here, where it's like, no, I'm going to, help clue you into entertainment that you may not have heard of without over spoiling it. That's why we don't show clips. That, and you get into that whole copyright thing, which is very deep, and I just really don't like. I just really don't want to have somebody on call that's good at reading legalese and can sit there and tell me, oh, you got to shave, 2 more seconds off this clip to stay under the radar. It's just, we're not a big production like that. This has always been designed to imitate basically sitting down with a buddy of yours and being like, dude, you remember this show? Oh yeah, I totally remember that show. That was the one that had that guy in it, and they had that ongoing plot. Yeah, that was great. We should watch that sometime. that's what I've always tried to bring to Roulette Productions, is that really trivia deep, knowledge deep buddy that can talk to you about stuff without, you know, making you feel like he's spoiled anything for you. And that's kind of that energy I need to try to recapture. I need to channel it and let it build up a little bit. So yeah, as I said, at least one topic a month, one episode a month, you know, however you want to say it. Maybe sometimes I'm just really inspired, you know, we'll toss another one in there, but yeah, we're just gonna lean back until things get a little more stable and secure, and just, you know, fun. That's what this has all been about. It's why I say every time, say whatever you want. Whatever kind of comment you want to leave it. You know, whether it's positive or negative, feel free to speak your mind. This in that way, this is I hate the phrase, but it fits, a safe space. You can preach your mind to me. You can tell me you don't like what I had to say. I'm not going to delete your comments out of hand. I'm not going to insult you and tell you you're inherently wrong for disagreeing with me. But I've always said, you know, toss me suggestions if you want to. Tell your friends, but more importantly, it's, you know, it ends with, this is entertainment. So it should be about having fun. It should be about enjoying this stuff. That's why I don't review things that I feel negative about. You know, there's entertainment out there that makes me angry to contemplate it. I don't talk about it because there's enough anger out on the internet. That has been true every year that we have run this channel. Every year I've done Roulette Productions, that has been my my vow. That's my core rule above anything else. I want to enjoy doing these topics, and that's why we pick the topics we do, and we don't do certain topics. And I want y'all to feel that joy too. That's why I tell you, stay happy, stay healthy. That's my wish to any of my viewers. Whether you hate watch me or love watch me, I love you. I really do. So join me when I do post. Keep watching the game streams as they pop up. As I said, they will still be on a weekly basis. And have an excellent 2024. That's going to be my message. No matter what, whether rambling goes up that week or not, remember, I still want you to enjoy your year and enjoy your life and enjoy your entertainment. I'll see you next time, folks.